Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Lowdown. Today I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by João Tralhão, the ex-academy manager of Benfica, for a deep dive inside his career to date. João, welcome to the show.
Hello, Connor. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure for me to be here with you.
Of course, João, you've spent a remarkable part of your career, I think, spanning 18 years at Benfica. But before we dive into that, João, as a young boy, how did you first encounter football? What's your earliest football memory?
Yeah, it was funny because my memories about football goes since I remember myself. I was a kid who I would like to play on the street with my friends, with my family. It was really a passion that begins at the age of when I started to know myself. The memories go back to this stage. Then I played in amateur level as a youth player. I became first team player, but not the professional level, amateur level. And then I went to the university. I went to the sports university, and in my education, I found myself in a position that I could be a coach. I could be a football coach. I could be linked with football again without being a player, because I love to play. I love to be a player, but I wanted to be something different. Football in sports. That's why I went to the university to be physical education teacher. But then I found in the position, like I told you, I found the position to be a coach because I was one of the best students in the first year of the university. And our university at that moment, they had a protocol with Benfica schools. They call Benfica schools, like a younger academy for the kids who pay to be there and to learn football, then to have the dream to be players of Benfica, the real academy, Benfica, competing, and so on. And I went there with that protocol. I was the youth coach there for one season, and I really loved to be a coach. I really loved to be involved with the training session, with the kids, with the leadership. It was really a nice feeling at that moment. And I quit to play because I was playing at the same time. I quit to play and I became a coach. I was very lucky for the responsibles of that Benfica schools, academies. They loved my job. They found some good qualities in my profile. And then they invited me in the next year to be a coach, to be the real coach, the real academy. I was thrilled at the moment. I was delighted, as you can imagine. And it was a really important experience for me because at the same time I was in the university studying to be something in sports. So it begins like that. And yeah, once you start in a coaching life, you will never quit. You want to be more and more and more and more. And that's what it was with me.
And of course, someone like yourself that's had, experience coaching across every level, so to speak, over 20 years now at this stage. How would you describe the art of coaching if you were to define it?
I didn't listen. Sorry, Connor. I didn't listen to the question. Sorry. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, of course. The art of coaching. Someone who's coached João, you've coached under sixes, you've coached in schools, you've coached youth teams, reserve teams, first teams, you've been an assistant manager, a first team manager. How would you describe coaching as a process?
Yes, it was really a journey till now. I started so early. I'm 41 years old. I started at the age of 20, almost 20, not 20, almost 20. More than 20 years coaching throughout all the age groups, like you said. And I think one of the advantages of being a coach throughout all the age groups, all the experience I had, I think the main advantage was I had time to build my own philosophy. I had time to build my own methodology, my ideas. That ideas and that philosophy became more solid throughout the years. Now I feel that I have my convictions based on solid pillars, solid foundations, because I had the time to not invest only in knowledge, because as a coach, we need to invest a lot of our time in knowledge, research, knowledge, everything connected with the theory. But I think and I feel that the most important experience I had, the most important scenarios I had to learn, to be more convinced about my ideas, my philosophy, was the experience in the field, the practical experience. I was very lucky throughout those more than 21 years, because look, I came from the theory I learned from the university background, but I had the opportunity to apply at the same time on the field with kids, and not kids that they need to learn so many things. They were very, very talented kids, like in Benfica. So you applied your knowledge on talented kids, and at the same time, this process in parallel, they helped me to be a more solid coach. My ideas now are solid. Of course, we need to constantly improve, constantly try to reformulate our ideas and to reflect on our ideas. But in terms of foundations, what I am, in terms of leadership, in terms of coaching methods, in terms of philosophy, in terms of mentality, I have my foundations very clear and that they are strong. I'm convinced about it. But the importance of being a coach throughout all the age groups, I think it's you know better the human qualities of everyone. You know how you should behave and how you should lead kids of 14 years old, 10 years old, 16 years old, then senior level, and then 18 years old. And you became more, I think you become more complete, and you will understand how it works, the connection between you as a coach, the player as a player. So then this connection is key. You can be the best coach ever on the pitch. You can have the most important ideas in terms of game model and everything. But if you don't have the right communication between you and the players, it will become more difficult for you to have success in coaching life. So I think one of the things I won mainly those years coaching all the age groups was the connection and the knowledge about how you should behave with all age groups, and the link between, because it's different when you coach under 70 or under 40, and when you coach senior level, it's different. But there are some connections between those age groups, and there are some bridges between the different age groups, because all of them. One of the conclusions I have is all of them. If you look at a boy 14 years old, or look at the experienced player like 32, like Falcao when I met in Monaco, the bridge between those age groups are, you should be prepared as a coach technically. You should understand about the game. You should understand about what you are talking about. You should be very clear in your message to be effective as a coach. If not, even a boy with 14 years old, he will understand that you are not prepared to be his coach, to make some impact on him, and to make him believe on you. The same at the senior level with an experienced player. So the conclusion is you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared in terms of knowledge, in terms of technical knowledge about our coaching life, but you should know as well, communicate well. And throughout these age groups, since I started, it was the two main conclusions I had.
Yeah, and you obviously put in the work. I mean, coaching all those different age groups. But what's a unique story about you, Joe, is one that I heard quite a while back. At the age of 27, you became the assistant coach at the first team at Benfica for quite a short period of time, where you were working with players such as Angel Di Maria, Rui Costa, Nuno Gomes, Luisao. I mean, what an incredible experience for a young coach. But your time there, the brief period of time you spent in as assistant to all those amazing players, I mean, how did that inform you when you went back into working in youth development? Did it change you? Did it make you change your methodology? Did it inform you better?
Yeah, it's a brilliant question, and yeah, it makes sense. It makes all the sense, that question, because yeah, it was really a very impacting experience in my life as a person, and in my life as a coach. And I think it was the key moment of my career, because at the age of 27, when you face the possibility to coach players like Rui Costa, like Nuno Gomes, like Di Maria, like so many stars in football, you know that something, something, you are something, because that kind of opportunity doesn't happen to anyone, to everyone. You have something for people to make you the coach of those guys, and that quality. It was really important for me to know that, for my confidence as a coach, for my coach confidence, it was really important. And at the age of 27, when they called me, I remember the day they called me. Hey, you need, because I was the under 19 assistant coach. There were no reserve team between the under 19 and the senior level. It was right away the senior level after the 19. And they called me, and I was the assistant coach, and I had at that moment a very important role on the staff. But they called me and they said, hey, look, tomorrow you need to join the first team, because we are rebuilding the staff. The manager resigned. We are building a staff to be there, to improve the squad and to have results. So we count on you. I was, oh wow. The first feeling was, wow, amazing. Join the first team, amazing. But at the same time, I felt the responsibility to be there. And I asked myself at that moment if I were prepared. I remember to ask myself, I'm ready to be there, and I'm ready to face and to deal with those guys. And mainly because the manager was a former player of Benfica, Chalana. He's a brilliant guy, an amazing guy, was one of the best players ever in Portugal. But in terms of coaching, he wasn't so active. He delegates the tasks to their assistants, and I knew that I will have a very active role on the staff. So the question I did to myself was, I'm ready to be there, to coach, to lead guys like Rui Costa, like Nuno Gomes, like Di Maria, like Luisão. Yes, if I'm ready, I will go. I felt yes, I'm ready, because I'm here since 7 years. 7 years ago, I became from Benfica school coach to under 19 assistant coach in 7 years. It was really hard to do it, because in Benfica it's very hard to go through the age groups. There are the competitiveness is huge, as you can imagine, here in Portugal, to be coach of Benfica, Sporting, and Porto. And I said, yes, I'm ready. And in the first session, I remember I had the task to lead all the session, and I was in a position to lead all the session, all the exercises, create exercises, lead the exercises, feedback on the players, correct the players. And after the first session, I felt, wow, what an experience. I'm ready to do this. I'm very ready. And when it finished, it was frustrating feeling, because they told me that the new coach, the new manager, Kike Flores was in Watford, was Valencia. He will bring all the stuff with him. So you need to go back to the 19 as assistant coach. Yeah, that's the reality. It was very frustrating for me because I was ready for the job. I thought at that moment, but I think the situation to go back again and the frustrating feelings and the way I try to step forward this kind of frustration, the way I lift up myself again, and I bet more in investment, and I said to myself, look, I need to go there again. I'm ready to go, and I need to go. But probably this is only a stage. This is one stage of my journey. I have only 8 years in the coaching career, and I need more. To be here, I need more. And it was my feeling at the moment. But it was really, really hard for me to deal with that frustration in the first month. But after that, I became more strong. I became more focused on invest on knowledge, invest on experience. Because, to be first team assistant coach at that level, Benfica level, at the age of 27, with only 7 years in the coaching career, I think it wasn't enough. It's not enough. It's not enough because at some point you will feel like you need more. You need something more. You need something more in everything. Knowledge, in terms of technical knowledge, methodology, in terms of leadership, in terms of experiences, in terms of impact you need to make on players. And yeah, I think it was the turning point in my coaching life. First, because it was an amazing experience, and then because of I needed more experiences, more investment on knowledge to be ready to the first team level, like I was then in Monaco after I don't know, but 12 years after.
It's an amazing trajectory that you spoke about, going from the Benfica schools to rising to first team coach at 27. But obviously you speak about frustrations, but you've channeled that energy, all that frustration, in the right manner, Joe, because you soon became responsible for part of the continued success of the Benfica Youth Academy, which has produced some top players over the years. Now, what I'm curious about is the inside of the Benfica campus. What was it like working within an environment where you have the analytics, the coaches, and the sports science all working together harmoniously?
Yeah, it was really, really good for me. It was in terms of my coaching profile, in terms of my coach profile. I think it was really, really important. As I said to you before, I started in Benfica when I will go back in days and try to explain you better, because I was first in Benfica schools, and then the year after, the coordinator of Benfica Academy, the real academy, who have players competing, because here in Portugal we compete since the 9 years old. There are some formal competitions for 9 years old. First regional in Lisbon, they compete. Formal competitions like you have leagues, the same competition as leagues, and you start at the age of 9, and then you go throughout till the senior level. So, and the real Benfica Academy, they needed one coach, one assistant coach, and 1 year after I was in Benfica schools. There are no competition, just learning process, learning session, learning stages, no competition. And the year after, the coordinator called me and said, look, are you ready to be our assistant coach in Benfica Academy? We need an assistant coach for the under 12. And the coordinator of Benfica schools, they said to me, you have the right profile to be here. And I said, wow, yeah, of course I need to go. Yeah, yes, I'm ready to go, of course. And then at that moment I quit playing. I was amateur player. I quit playing and I went. I was, wow, this is the Disneyland for me, the coach's Disneyland for me. You can understand it. And yeah, and I was the coach of assistant coach of the under 12 and under 11 at the same time, 2 age groups. And then, yeah, at that moment, Benfica was in a transition cycle. They were in Benfica were in a rebuilding process of the youth development. As you know, Benfica is a big club, massive club in Portugal, the best, I think the major club in Portugal. You know, you have Sporting Lisbon, Porto, the same. Benfica is a massive club. The culture of youth development, Benfica is huge as well, because a lot of players came from the youth, like Rui Costa, as you know, now he's the president of the club. Rui Costa, who a lot of Chalana. In terms of youth, Benfica always developed good players, but we were in a different era. We needed some different culture around the youth development. And Benfica was in the rebuilding cycle, the transition cycle, and I belong to that transition. I was one of the parts of this transition rebuilding, and I was privileged to be there at that moment, because look, we needed new facilities, we needed new coaches, we needed new philosophy, we needed new culture, and I was in that moment, and I participated actively in that moment. It was very, very important for me to give some insights, to give some inputs to new methodologies, to give some inputs on a different kind of development, and to build a new culture. And I think that was the main foundations of my coaching career, was because I was there. I was there participating, not just only coaching to have some insights from the coordinators of, no, at the moment it was really important, because the coordinators they wanted the coaches to give some feedback and give some insights. And I think that kind of process helped me to be better coach, more prepared for the responsibility, because I remember I went to some academies abroad. I went to Barcelona one week. I was there for a week. When I was in Barcelona, it was really an amazing experience, because I had some convictions at the time. I think I was under 19 assistant coach, and I already had some convictions. But when I went to Barcelona Academy, it was impressive, because one of the conclusions I had, I think you know better than me, the Barcelona culture. They can have some simple ideas when at the same time the other clubs have complex ideas and not clear messages. And Barcelona is simple because they created simple ideas, and they go on simple ideas, the same ideas, and they go on, and they want to improve those simple ideas. So the more difficult thing, the more hard thing to do is to have simple ideas, to apply these ideas the same way, to have more good players, to have teams more prepared, blah, blah, blah. So I think it was an impacting experience in me. I went to Manchester City as well for a study visit. I went to Ukraine. I went to Germany. I went to so many academies, because of we needed Benfica a different path to youth development, because we were in the recycle. We were in the cycle. So it was really, really nice to participate actively in this process. And I think I became more responsible in terms of what I represent as a coach, but as well in terms of my role, because a coach is not only a coach. You know what I'm saying. A coach is not only a coach. Your role doesn't finish when you start the session and you finish the session. Your role is much more than that. And I think I was I was lucky to participate actively in this process because it made me more prepared coach for the reality.
It's amazing insight into your job, Joe. And I suppose it's all very well and good to have ideas, as you spoke about, but in reality, it's all about execution and applying those ideas. And if we were to speak about player development, I mean, your main job at Benfica was to produce players for the first team. But, you know, you hear some coaches describe youth development as if you're planting a seed and you will never see the tree grow. But at Benfica, you know, over the years, there was an illustrious set of names produced from the academy. You know, as academy manager and one of the prominent coaches there, how did you manage those expectations?
Yes, it's really hard to manage expectations on a boy that plays for a big club as Benfica. You know, it's not only him; it's all of people around him. You need to manage. You know, the connection, the direct connection between you and the player, you and the youngster. But you know that the message should be across a lot of people around him, like parents, agents, friends, teachers, everyone linked with the player. So the expectations are huge, and you sometimes you face the situation that you are the only person to say no to a player, to say no, you are not right. You need to do this, and you need to correct this, because everyone around, they used to say yes, yeah, you are the great, yes, you are doing well. You are not playing because the coach doesn't bet on you, but you are the only guy, you are the only man that you are the only man or girl, of course, but you are the only person that you can say no, and you should say no, because the expectations are so high, and everything is pink. Everything will be easy for them because they are playing for Benfica. They wear good clothes. They have money to spend. And you know, if you go to other realities, like in England, the wages in youth development for the big clubs are absolutely crazy. They have salary much better than the most part of the leagues, first league, senior level in Europe. So it's crazy. They are in the position that they can do everything with money. The way is very easy for them. They think it's very easy, but the reality is not that. And we as the coaches, we need to, because when you see the picture of a player, when you see the picture of his way, of his path, we see reality. We can see reality because we have some indicators that provide us the capacity to understand where could the level it could achieve. But for them, it's not the same picture. The picture is too abstract. And when we try to say to them, look, you need to work more, you need to do this more, and you need to correct this. For them, sometimes it's not easy to accept because the picture is not so clear and it's so abstract. Sometimes the advice that we give to them to say, look, probably you should you should save money, you should not spend money on stupid things, you should behave better, because you should have your haircut well, because these kind of details, we know that when you achieve the first team, they will question everything. If you have long hairs, and because we know some examples in Europe, coaches, first team coaches, they say to them, look, you need to have a simple haircut, not extravagant haircut, because those kind of details could spoil your the way you go to the first team. Some details, but I'll just give some examples, because for us as a coach, we know that this kind of things are important, but for them they are not. This is a simple example to understand. But if you look at in terms of what is their technically process, the way they need to learn the principles, the knowledge of the game, the way they should behave on the pitch, session, exercise, the game, the intensity they need to put in. Everything is the same. They are in the same level. And the expectations are so high. Sometimes it's hard for the coaches to deal with those situations. What I can say about it is that you need to be demanding. You need to depend on your own philosophy. You don't need to depend on them. You know what I mean? Depend on them. If you want to be the best friend of them, you cannot do what they want, because they are used to have people around it to say, yes, you are the great. You need to be yourself, and you to be the best friend of these players with so many expectations, so high expectations. You need to be their best friends. You need to be demanding, and you need to understand clearly what they should do on the sessions, on the competition, socially, everything. And you need to be dependent on your ideas, your academy ideas, or your club ideas, not on them, because you will be not their best friends. Best friend, you should help them to know the right way to follow. And even if they follow the right path, probably they cannot achieve the first team level. They cannot achieve the best level they want, because it's not easy to be a professional player in senior level, in the best level. You know that. So I think that's the real challenge for a coach, for a youth coach, to face these kind of expectations. And how I faced these expectations was I was truly me. I was truly me. I was saying every time the truth to the players. Do not give more expectations that they have. Try to low expectations. Try to put them on the reality scenario, not in imagined scenario. And I think I was fair enough to them, because now it's easy to say, okay, you coach João Felix, you coach Renato Sanchez, you coach so many players, as you know, so many talents, Ruben, Cancelo. But when you say those names, it's easy to say, yes, I faced these kind of challenges, but I was true to myself and I helped them. But those boys, it's easy to speak about. But the most part of the boys, they didn't achieve the level enough to live in the football world. They are not playing. Some of them, they are not playing at the moment. I think that's the part you should reflect on. And I'm happy as a coach to have friends. Now they are friends of this part of players. They didn't achieve the right level to play and to live for football, because they recognize that I was true. That I said the truth, and I helped them, and I gave them the same opportunity that I gave to the others. I created an inclusive environment for everyone, but for some reason they could not achieve. At that moment, probably I was not their best friends, because they heard from me the truth. But now they recognize that I was right. I helped them the same way I helped everyone, but for some reason they could not achieve. And that's the thing I reflect on, and that's the thing that makes me happy more than everything. Is the players that did achieve, they recognized me. I was a good coach for them in terms of demanding the expectations.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it all points to, no matter whether you're at Benfica or at a grassroots club, it's all about the relationships you have with not only the players, but the parents, with everybody else, the support network around that player. But to play devil's advocate, I suppose, you did give a quote before speaking about sometimes why players don't make it through an academy. You spoke about youth development lacking context at times when environments are upheld to standards of high perfectionism. I mean, in your own opinion, having been through it at Benfica so thoroughly, how soon should an academy seek to professionalize?
It depends. I understand the question, but I think it depends. I think every individual is an individual. Everyone has some different needs. I think you should professionalize when you need to professionalize. I think the academy, the standards of the academy, should be adapted to the culture of the academy, but as well to the person, the people who are there, the people who are there, the boys who are there. Sometimes we want to professionalize boys that they are not ready to even to play for a good club, play for compete against the same level. They is not ready because in terms of maturation, it's not ready to do that. You need to look at this boy and you need to give him some different challenges, stimulus for him to grow up. And you need to have time. You need to give time to him. And I understand this academies needs. They need to have players at the age of 16, 17, 18 prepared to play for the first team because the results will be amazing if they can put 17 age player the first team playing. Probably they will earn some money 1 year or 2 years because it's not usual to have 17 players playing for the first team. You know how this industry works, and the pressure on the academies to prepare players earlier to play the first team. I think it's becoming more complex. And I believe that you should go step by step. The growth should be step by step, and this step by step process, it will depend on the players, on the boys. Should not depend on only on our plan. You should plan, but this plan should be adaptable to the boys you have. And you know that sometimes you have boys 14 age, they are not ready to compete for the 14 or 15 age group because they need to understand more the game, they need to have more contacts with the ball, they need to understand more how they play off the ball. So it will depend mainly on the boys you have. You should plan, of course, these stages should be planned, but it should be adaptable. And when you want to, I think, speed up age groups, and you want to put players up quickly, more quick than they are ready to do it, and the stimulus is not adequate to this player, probably you will lose this player, you will lose this boy, and the frustration will be so hard for him, and probably will quit. This is a problem we face here in Portugal, academies, everywhere, but I think it's a problem you have crossed all the Europe at the moment because we want to speed up stages, and the stages should be adapted to the boys, be adapted to their needs, and we need time to develop players. We need time. We need to have solid processes, not process that could fall quickly. So I believe that the academies now have the pressure to put players more quick on the first team and to professionalize academies. I think professionalize, it means that the coaches should be professional. Coaches, of course, should be, even when you think about under 9, under 10, under 12 coaches, they need to be professionals because if they invest on this career, they will be the best coaches for those boys. And sometimes you have an intern, or you have a part-time job, or you have some inexperienced coach to this level. Probably if you have don't have a coordinator prepared to coach those coaches, to lead those coaches, probably you will lose a lot of boys, talent. I think that all the academies is not realistic because we need money to do that. But the most part of the academies should have coaches, professional coaches, or coaches to have coordinated above them, prepared to coach the coaches. This is not only for the coaches, to protect coaches, mainly to protect the talents, protect the boys, to have a good, the right development, the right path to be players or to be good human beings.
Of course, I think that's a wonderful answer, and it provides context to the wider support network for a player at a given club. What I want to zoom in and focus on now, João, is methodology, which I know you have a very keen interest in. I know you're an avid proponent of small-sided games within your methodology. Could you elaborate a bit upon that and tell us why?
Yes, I'm a big defender of small-sided games, conditioning games, because I think when we think about planning, when you think about periodization, I'm a massive believer on tactical periodization. What does it mean? Tactical periodization allows me as a coach to have a solid process. And solid process for me means that you, in one hand, you have your idea. You have the idea of the game. It depends on your philosophy. It depends on your beliefs. It depends on how you feel comfortable to coach your team and to see your team performing. And in the other hand, you have the methodology. You should adapt to make them be connected, to create an identity. And for me, this means tactical periodization. First, you should have an idea based on principles, based on your beliefs, based on the way you want to see the game. And on the other hand, you should have the right methodology to do that. Because if you only have one, or if you only have another, probably you will not have an identity of playing, of being a team, of being a culture. And I think that when you have the right principles for players to behave, for players to play, you should train this way. And you should have a plan to make them understand the way you want to play, the way you want to learn and to teach your action, your behaviors, your connection, the synchronization between the team, the individual development. And when you think about this, the best exercises, the best tools we have to develop the way we want to play is to have exercises. A complete. I used to call complete exercises. Complete exercises are when you have a transition moment. So when you lose the ball, what you should do, or when you regain the ball, what you should do, you should have a goal. Could be a line, could be a small goal, could be a goal, could be a teammate, could be some coach, could be everything. And you should have, of course, opposition. Opposition. These three elements, if you think, are always present on the game. Because when you play, you always have transition moments. When you regain the ball, what you should do? I should keep the ball. I should pass forward. I should pass backward. I should play long or I should play short. What I should do? Or when you lose the ball, what I should do? I should press. Or I should stay. I should go back. So in terms of behaviors, for me, it's important for players to understand what they should do on the game. And transition moments. Opposition. Why? Because you should create exercises for the players to be creative, to reinvent actions, and to apply the principles you have. Like, okay, give an example. Principle: if you lose the ball, if you want to counter press, what we should do as a team. One principle associated to this macro principle that is counter pressing is, okay, you should go quickly on the ball, keeper. You should go. We should have 2 or 3 players around the ball keeper. This is a principle, and if you are playing an exercise, if you lose the ball, this principle you should do every time. Go 3 on the ball or 2 on the ball quickly to make the goalkeeper feel uncomfortable and to play back or we recover the ball or something like that. And when you put opposition in an exercise, you know that you will make players apply the principles. You will provide players to be creative. They will reinvent the action. And third, you will, of course, develop the decision making. They need to make decisions. Sometimes you are so far, and you are so far from the goalkeeper. Probably you need to communicate to your player closest to the ball to be him to go press, and you should go for the 3 players around the ball, or to be close to them, or to be compact. And this kind of messages the exercises give to the players, I think will develop, of course, better decision making, better understanding of principles, and on the other hand, I believe that in terms of physical intensity, they will feel more motivated to play with a direction, to play with opposition, to play with transition, because they will play, they are playing. And for the players playing is different if you have a patternized, a standardized or patterns, or you need to do this, and this. They feel like robots and they are not fully motivated to do that. And when they are playing, they are more motivated. Of course, is a little bit more deep than this that I said, but generally, I believe that in terms of decision making, creativeness, and probably I believe in terms of physically output, intensity, the aggressiveness, it's a little, the values are a little bit more higher because they are much more motivated to play than to have patternized movement, something like that. So I'm a strong believer that the small-sided games and the conditioning games mainly help us to achieve the way we want to play. They will provide us a better learning process of the way of playing we want to apply it in our team. As I am a believer of tactical periodization, and I have an idea, I have my principles structure built, and I want to apply those principles to my team. I think that if you create exercises that they are playing, they are conditioned to what you want, to apply the principles, I think you are more close to make them learn better the way you want to play.
Wonderful insight. And you know what, underpinning it all, it's a holistic player development philosophy. And at Benfica, it seems to produce quite individualistic and different profiles of players that are both creative and very autonomous in their decision making. And if we look at the players Benfica have recently produced, such as your Ruben Dias's, João Cancelo's, João Felix, there are 3 very different types of players. I mean, it's just curious. I'm curious to learn more as to how do you believe Benfica continues to produce so many different types of profile of player? It's not just one prototype, is it, Jay?
Yes, that's it. One of the conclusions that we had when we were in the rebuilding our academy methodologies, philosophy, was how we can manage the big gap between the youth development and the first team level. I think this is the main challenge for us. And when you conclude or when you have the main conclusions of this challenge, I think it will help to plan from top to the bottom. So you need to plan starting from the top, because we need to know what is your finishing point, and from then you should plan everything below. And one of the conclusions we had was, okay, to play for Benfica, to play for first team, we need to have first winning mentality players. They need to have winning mentality. They need to go there and always competing to be the best players on the sessions, on the friendly games, on the competition games, Champions League games, league games, everywhere. But mainly they should go, and the first impact they will make to the coaches, to the first team coaches, to their teammates, teammates, is the way they behave on session, because they will not be called to play. They will be called to train first. So they need to be ready to make some impact on the structure, on the first team structure. So this is one of our main conclusions. The second one was, we cannot prepare strikers to play the last line, or just to go deep, to make runs deep. We need to prepare players, complete players for the first team, because today the coach, the first team coach or the first team manager wants players to go deep, to run deep as a striker, but tomorrow could come another coach, another manager to want that the player want to go in the half spaces to receive the ball and to link the game. So we cannot specialize so much our players, because we don't know how the manager at that moment wants the players to play. So we should make them understand a lot of behaviors connected to the position, to the striker position. They should know how to come in half spaces to receive the ball, and they should know how they go run deep. So they need to be more completed. Like João Cancelo, I can give you an example of João Cancelo. João, with me, in 2 years I coached him. He went from left back to right back to wing back to winger to midfielder to number 6, number 8. He played in all the positions because he was so talented, and if he knew all the positions on the pitch, they will be much more prepared to play where the coach needed for him to play. And I feel very happy for him, because he's an amazing talented player. I love him as a person and as a player, and I'm very happy to see a top manager like Pep Guardiola using him as a midfielder sometimes, as a left back. He plays on the middle because he's ready to play there. He knows the game in deep. He understands how to play in the inside zones as he plays in outside zones. He understands that, because in our development, not only in the 2 years I coached him, in all the development, he played in the different positions. He plays inside, he played outside. Sometimes the coach asked him as a fullback to play in inside zones when he achieved the last third of the pitch. He understands how to play outside and inside. So this is very good insight for us. It's a good indicator for us to develop players, to help players to not specialize in a position or in a role, because when you achieve the first team level, the manager will ask you different things. And I think that's one of our main advantages as an academy development. We have to promote good players. And I remember Ruben Dias, as you said, Ruben Dias, he improved a lot. He had an amazing improvement since he was 14 until now. He became, in my opinion, one of the best defenders in the world at the moment. At the age of 24, I think, 24, he's one of the best defenders in the world. National team of Portugal, Manchester City, crazy level. And he improved a lot because of first winning mentality. In terms of winning mentality, he's top class. No, it's not easy to find someone like him. And in terms of game knowledge, he played different positions at the pitch. Even in the under-19 level, he played on left back, right back. He plays as center back, plays as number 6. and he had some difficulties, but he went through and he worked to understand different positions on the pitch. Now he's ready to play for the level. Of course, it's a little bit more deep than that, but I think one of our advantages as an academy was not specialized players. I remember other example like João Felix. João Felix played as a forward, number 9, as a 10, as a 8, as a 7 in winger, as a winger, even in the 9th level. So we didn't specialize. We didn't give some, because one of the problems of coaches, and I can tell you, Conor, and you understand, sometimes coaches want, youth development coaches want to have results for themselves, and they think that the process is for themselves. We want to specialize this player because I want to think I'm doing the right thing for this player, and we don't think about the player. We think about us as coaches. And if we think about the player, we should give the enough tools for them to be in the reality, to play in the reality. And the reality, first team level, you know, even if you are a Manchester City player, first team Manchester City player, you know that sometimes could be Pep now, but tomorrow could be another coach, and the philosophy will change. And the things the new coach will ask for the players is different from the coach there. So, and we need to prepare players for everywhere, not only for one way of playing. And of course, we have our path, we have our methodologies, we have our idea, but it's an open idea, enough for the players to play everywhere. It's not closed. We don't close our idea for players to play that idea only. We open enough for players are ready to play for other realities. And I think was one of the best things we did in Benfica Academy back in the day.
If it's good enough for those 3 players, Joe, it's good enough for most players out there, especially at a young age. But just getting back to the story of Cancelo, I mean, it's just simple. There's simple rules regarding skill acquisition, you know, being exposed to a number of different situations, positions, and drills and exercises. And speaking of Cancelo adapting to a new position, you soon left Benfica after 18 years to join up with Thierry Henry at Monaco as assistant manager. How did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, it was really an amazing opportunity because I went to Wales for my coaching badges, for my coaching, to have my UEFA A license at that moment. I found Wales because I wanted to challenge myself. I was okay in Portugal. I knew at the time a lot of people linked with coach education. I felt that I needed to a different challenge for me, an English more detailed lingo for me to understand. I needed to improve my English as well. I need to know other people around the world because I went a lot of time, like I told you before, I went to a lot of academies abroad. And it was really impacting on me. They had massive impact on me, my philosophy, my way of seeing things, to build my foundations, to become more solid. And I knew that if I challenge myself to go abroad to take my coaching badges, it will be important in my career. And I decided after the UEFA B license here in Lisbon, I decided to apply for Wales. I had an advice for a friend. I have Wales. He's a coach, Manchester City coach, and he said to me, "Look, Wales is an amazing federation for you to learn. And they are ready. They are prepared. They have very good methodologies, very good people." And yes, and I applied. I was lucky to be accepted. was really good to be there for the UEFA license. I met a lot of good people, like first Ocean Roberts, the coordinator at that time, is an amazing person. He has a massive influence on me in terms of coaching, in terms of person as well. It's a very good friend. Fortunately, I met him, and I met a lot of people like Patrick Vieira, Sol Campo, Pepin Linders, so many good friends I made there. They mainly helped me to see, to open my vision, to see more things, and to learn about their experiences, their knowledges. It was really nice. So after that, I went for the UEFA Pro license there as well, and I met Thierry. It was really easy to connect with him. It was really easy. We found a lot of bridges between us in terms of personal things, in terms of technical things, and football philosophies. And I was thrilled when I met him. I was delighted to meet him because every time we talked, it was really easy to be there for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It was easy, and the time was running so fast because it was very nice to talk with him about football, his game knowledge, his experiences, his leadership qualities, his winning mentality in terms of how we see football, and his human qualities were amazing. And I felt an easy connection between me and him. We talked about football so many hours. I was really impressed about his qualities, and yeah, he saw something in particular in me that knew that I could help him in this challenge, Monaco challenge, and he called me. I was delighted. I was crazy feeling when he called me to be his assistant. And yeah, I accepted. It was easy to accept because first of him, I wanted to help him in some way, in the same way. I at that time, I believed, and I believe now, he will be one of the best coaches in the world because of his qualities. I think he's in the right track to be one of the best coaches. And second, because challenge myself as well. And the same feeling I had when I was 27 years old, when Benfica called me to be first team assistant, was okay, I'm ready, let's go. Now, at the age of 38, 10 years after, when Thierry called me to be his assistant at Monaco, I was in Benfica under 23 team. I was the coach, I was the head coach. And the question I made myself was, yes, I need to apply my knowledge, my experiences in a different level at the moment. And this is the moment. I need to go. It was not easy to leave Benfica after almost 19 years coaching. It was not easy, as you can imagine. But yes, it was the moment. Thierry called because first of him was really impressive to have his call. We had his call, and after, because of me, I challenged myself to put me in a different, uncomfortable position, working abroad, working first team level in Monaco, Champions League, with experienced players. And yeah, it was those two key things that made me leave Benfica and go with Thierry. And after that, when we arrived at Monaco, it was really a very important experience for myself, and I was happy to make that decision.
And at 27, of course, you were coaching Lowdown, Rui Costa, Di Maria. 38, you're back at it in first team football, coaching the likes of Fabregas, Radamel, Falcao, amongst many others. Did you feel when you went to Monaco, when you were coaching these elite players that have won World Cups, Champions Leagues, and everything there is to name, did you feel the growth in you as a coach?
Yes, really, I think I put in a position that I needed to be ready to face those players, to help those players, in some way to help Falcao to improve, to help Falcao to perform, to Fabregas to perform. And I improved a lot because, and I grew a lot with them, because they have a different kind of way to see things in football, because they have so many years in the business, and they know everything about football. How you can impact on them as a coach, as an assistant coach, or as a coach, how can you have some impact on them? You should ask yourself. And I asked myself at that moment, how can I impact them? First, as a staff, as a team, our teamwork behavior, we had a strategy to work with those players, of course. But in terms of myself, connection with them was first try to understand their motivation, how you motivate a 32 or 33 years old that was Champions League winner or all the leagues winner, international, everything, they won everything. How do you motivate him, and how do you create some impact? First, I believe, and I will back this conversation, you should be ready to, in terms of technical knowledge, you should be ready to teach these players, to teach something to these players, a movement or a timing to make movement, or a different behavior, or different kind of thing to do. You should be ready, because players will ask you somewhere at some point, hey, what I should do in this situation, or if this happened, what I should do, this scenario, what I should do. And if you are not ready to answer it in the first moment, you will be there. No question about it. But if you are ready to answer and to help them and to make them think, yeah, it's the first step to conquer their confidence on you as a coach. And because that's why I believe even any role, assistant, head coach, any role, you should be prepared for those questions, and to answer these questions. You should understand the game. You should understand methodology. You should understand knowledge of the game. You should have a lot of competences around all areas, not tactical areas, technical areas, psychological areas, everything, emotional areas. You should understand everything a little bit deep about everything to be ready to face these experienced players.
I mean, we've been speaking for over an hour now, João. That's been absolutely remarkable to uncover your career to date and unpack some of your work in regards to coaching, methodology, and developing some of the names you've mentioned over the show. I suppose just to close with a few more questions. I mean, if you had 3 words to describe yourself as a coach, what would they be and why?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, first, the first thing came to my mind is, I think I'm a genuine person. I have my values, my core values as a person, and I am very true to myself. I never forget my values. That's important. So I think straightforward. It's a good word. I'm very honest with everyone. I don't depend on external factors. I depend on the reality. I used to say that if you are honest to everyone, you will win. You will win. You will be successful. And I'm a very honest person. So in terms of the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm a very genuine person. What I represent as a person, I represent as a coach as well. So I'm not an actor. In some point, someone said to me once that coach is an actor. I understand coach is an actor, the sentence. Sometimes you need to be actors, sometimes you need to manage things correctly, but as the coach, I don't act, just perform. The perform I do is the same way I perform life. As a person, I'm the same as a coach. I have the same values. The core values are the same. So I'm genuine coach. Second word is probably in terms of methodology. I'm obsessed to be perfect. I like to be the best coach ever on the pitch. I prepare myself to be the best coach ever on the pitch. When I say best coach ever, I go back on the conversation as well. I like to have my idea very meticulous. I have my idea very structured, very solid, the way I want to see my team playing. But I understand to have this, I need to have the right methodology. I'm very detailed. I'm very obsessed to be the best coach ever. I like to prepare all the exercises in detail. I'm passionate about creating exercises. I'm very creative, and I like to have the best exercises ever for players to make them understand the principles of the way we want to play. So I'm very meticulous, I'm very detailed. The second word is very obsessed on perfection as a coach. I like to have perfection. And the third thing, I'm very ambitious. I like to be connected with the second. I like to be successful. I want to achieve the best level ever, every time. I have a winning mentality, probably a little bit higher than I should, because I want to win everything every time. I'm very competitive. So 3 words I will say that probably will be genuine. I think I'm a very nice person. I believe I am. I have good values to relate with, to have good relationship with people. I'm a genuine people. Second, I'm obsessed. I like to have my things well done, and I'm very ambitious. I'm very competitive. I have a winning mentality. I think it comes from my education since I was a player on the street. When I was a kid, I wanted to win everything, because if I don't, probably I will wait hours to play again, because we were 100 kids on the street to play. And if I wasn't, I was waiting so much time to play again. So I think this is what I am as a coach. I'm a very, I think I'm a very true guy. I'm genuine. I like to live for genuine relationships, but as well, I'm very competitive, very obsessed to be perfect.
And you know, you're a coach and you're a person who's done it all. You know, you've coached the elite of the elite, World Cup winners, some of today's finest superstars. You've worked at all levels of the game. And I mean, your insights into methodology and player development are outstanding. But for those coaches growing up now, or that are on a journey, that want to embark on a similar pathway such as yourself, what advice would you have for them?
I believe in you. I think that could be something you heard everywhere, but in terms of confidence, do not believe in those kind of advices that say, look, this is not for you, probably you should go for easier path, because coaching path is not easy. And if you listen to this kind of advices, probably will not achieve the level you want. So the confidence you need to have is, okay, I believe in me, I need to invest on knowledge, invest on experiences. I need to connect with good people around me, people who will help me, and let's go for the journey. This is a journey. This is not 2, 3 years. This is a journey. This is a life journey. Coaching is, I think we are fortunate because this is not a job. This is not a normal job. We do what we like. So this coaching life is not only about the second life. Coaching life is not only about technically things like if we open the social media now, we will see a lot of insights about video analysis, tactical analysis, everything about tactical, technical. But coaching is not this only. Coaching is the relationship between people. We need to communicate well. We need to be connected to people because our target are the players. We want to help players to improve, to perform. So do not only invest on the technical things, tactical things, technical. Invest as well on the emotional things, the relationship things. I think this is very important to be a successful coach. You need to connect well with people. And the third advice is we need time to do. We need time for the journey. Sometimes now, I remember back in the days here in Portugal. I don't know how it was in England at the time, but back in the days, 30 years ago, we only have 2 channels to switch, channel 1, channel 2, and we spent a lot of time to see channel 1 and channel 2. Today, it's different. We have 300 channels, and if we're not enjoying the conversation, we switch channel. And today, we switch cell phone 2 into months because there are always a different cell phone. The speed of life now is so many different, and we want everything quick. We want quick to be first team manager. We want quickly to be best club manager, but we need in this journey we need time. Just keep your stages correctly. Go step by step. Keep your stage solid, and I believe you will achieve it.
It's fantastic advice to close. You know what, Joe? The first time we met was in April 2019 at the Football Business and Innovation Summit in London, and you broadened my horizons back then. And certainly today, the conversation we've had, you've certainly opened up my eyes, and I know so many other people are going to get so much value from this conversation. So thanks very much for coming on.
Connor, thank you very much. I'm very happy to see you again, and 2 years after, 2 years and a half after, I believe, and I hope we can meet again soon. And for all the listeners, just let's keep in touch. I hope I can help you in some way to impact your reflections on football. And yeah, Connor, thank you so much. Let's keep in touch.